You are live and we are live. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Oh, it's time to get real. Oh,
Spirituality. It's a new experience. Spirituality. Yeah, keep getting going. Got a question for RLM? Spirituality. It's time to get some answers, baby. Oh, now we getting real. It's time to get down. Yeah, you gonna feel good now. Real good. That's what I'm talking about.
Ooh-wee. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Reality Spirituality. Hold on a second. I have to do a little bit of adjusting here. Moving this back, moving this forward. Hold on. Adjustments. Welcome to Reality Spirituality. I'm your host, Rebecca L. Norrington, happiness specialist, inner peace practitioner, oracle, but most importantly, just like you, a student. Happiness specialist. Who the hell does she think she is? Happiness. That's happiness is just temporary. Well, let me be very clear. What I'm speaking, when I say happiness, I'm talking about a personal energy, a personal vibration, an energy of contentment. Energy that is rooted in energy of contentment that is your foundation, is my foundation, rooted in contentment. Oh, and it is a practice. Happiness is a practiced skill. Inner peace is a practice skill. Vibrating contentment is a practice. And what do you practice? You need two things. You need, number one, prioritize. You prioritize, you make a commitment, you value this energy of contentment, and a mirror. That's right. You need a mirror. All the work, all the practice, scratch the work. All the practice is done in the mirror. And that's simple, but there's a commitment because listen, I'm out there in the world, disguised sometimes, but I'm out there in the world and there's not too many wonderful souls. There are not too many people prioritizing this thing called happiness until I'm not even going to say it's too late. I'm just going to say until it's late in the game. And in fact, I like to start off with the show. And welcome to all my new listeners. Welcome to all new listeners, new audience, new followers, just welcome. Welcome to my world. And so I like to share this study. You can Google it. It's done by a hospice nurse. Her name is Bronnie Ware. And she asked her patients who had days, weeks, months left to live, what are your 5 biggest regrets? What are your 5 biggest regrets? I don't know about you, but that question was very powerful, especially asked to people that have one foot in the grave. I mean, they're on their way out. And so the 5 answers that kept coming back, back over and over again. And they are, number 1. Again, you can Google more information online. Just punch in 5 most common regrets of the dying. Number 1, I wish I would have pursued my dreams and aspirations and not the life others expected of me. Number 2, I wish I didn't work so hard. Shout out to my new friend, I'll say DB. That's what I'll say. Shout out to my new friend DB. Number 3, I wish I had the courage to express my feelings and speak my mind. Number 4, I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. Again, sometimes we outgrow people. Sometimes sometimes people are in our life for a season. And number 5, I wish I would have let myself be happier. And that's all I'm sharing on this show, Reality Spirituality, which I've been online since 2012. What? 2012, yes. And now again, if you're listening on Noom Vibe, welcome, welcome. You can ask to join the stage. Hold on a second. Let me just check this, check that. No, I don't need to do that. Asked to join the stage. I love your input, your contributions, and even your confrontations. Yeah, bring it on. And then also, if you, I'm also live on my YouTube channel right now. Yay, here I am. And the reason why, by the way, Rebecca Norrington YouTube channel, and the reason why I wear these furry headbands, if any, sometimes people ask me, why are you dressed up like you're going out, like you're going skiing? Well, it's 57 degrees in this studio. 57. I like it cold. Yes. Yes, but that's another show. So 5 regrets of the dying, and the 5th one is I wish I would have let myself be happier. And it has been my ongoing research, study, commitment, focus, agenda, intention for 45 years. When I was younger, remember blowing out your candles and making a wish on your birthday. I always wished for the same 2 things. I wanted to live to my potential. I had no idea what that meant. Just let me live to my potential. I just threw that out there. And the second thing is I wanted to be happy. And of course, I've explained and I've talked about it for ad nauseum for what, 12, over 15 years. In fact, I've been teaching the class, The Truth About Happiness, in 3 different states, in California, in Oregon, and now I'm in Las Vegas, and I teach at the UNLV in the Ollie division. Now, this is a division for seniors because I'm a senior now. I'm a senior now. I'm a senior now. And so I have people in the class, and the class is always full. People in their 50s and their 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, still searching, still looking for this thing called happiness. But let me break it down. And that's what I share. It is a practice skill, but what do you practice? What is the practice, Rebecca? Thank you for asking. The practice is, number 1, making a commitment and even placing a value on happiness. And again, when I say happiness is an energy of contentment. So my first question that I ask every class is, how important is happiness to you on a scale from 1 to 10? And it's not a 10, no problem. But I don't care what you achieve. I don't care how much money you have. How many titles are behind your name. If there isn't any contentment with all of it, I'm not even going to make a judgment. A lot of times there's no contentment behind it. There is no contentment. And so for me, that's number 1. Contentment, number 1. And how do you get there? With a lot of practice. And today's topic is the be all end all. The ego, and I'm going to use that term ego. You can interchange with the person, the critical monkey mind, is the mind, the constant chatter. That voice just doesn't shut up. I don't know about you, but I still have that. As soon as I wake up, it's just stories. It's just random back and forth and back and forth. And what do you do? What do I do with all of that? Well, I know the source of all that mindless chatter. I know the source of all those stories. And the source is, I'm going to call it ego. And not up here hating on the ego. Oh, the ego is bad. Get rid of the thoughts. Change your thought. Well, listen, I haven't been able to change my thoughts, But what I do is I know what to do with them when they when they are incessant. And the ego is always in a state of discontentment. And let me share with you again, if you're listening live on Noon Vibe, you can, I'm live on my YouTube channel also, Rebecca Norrington. I'm just going to share with you, I just listen to that. I just published my latest, well, actually it's last year now. Yikes, last year. And I'm holding it up. It's called Programmed for Unhappiness, Exposing the Untold Truth. And in this book, I list 56 program behaviors that subtract, been proven to subtract from your happiness. And one of them is one of the 56. One of the 56 is identifying and or believing or focusing on or giving power to the ego. And there is a difference between this Rebecca L. Norrington. There's a difference between Rebecca and her, I'm going to say, higher self, consciousness, awareness, formlessness. There's a difference between those two entities. And I always know the difference. And it's so easy to detect. The disguise of the ego, the disguise of the ego, scratch that. My ego has so many different disguises, including the disguise of a do-gooder. Well, I only had good intentions, or my agenda is ... It can even disguise itself as yeah, I meant well, big heart, all of that. But here we go. Let me indulge me, please. Indulge me. I am going to read just a little bit from my book, Program for Unhappiness. Isn't that arrogant? Reading from my own book. And it's chapter 9. It says, the truth about your ego. I am not my thoughts, emotions, sense perceptions, and experiences. I am not the content of my life. I am life. I am the space in which all things happen. I am consciousness. I am now. I am. That's a quote from Eckhart Tolle. Let me share that one more time. I am not my thoughts, emotions, sense perceptions, and experiences. I am not the content of my life. I am life. I am the space in which all things happen. I am consciousness. I am now. I am Eckhart Tolle. And so I'm going to continue. I watched an Eckhart Tolle video and I was intrigued by his discussion and analysis of the human ego. To paraphrase, Tolle explained that man has been in a constant state of evolution. In the early stages of human existence, man's ego hadn't developed fully because he was primarily focused on survival. You know, the caveman that was running away from, well, no, he wasn't running away from the dinosaurs because the dinosaurs weren't around during the caveman days, were they? I don't think so. No, I digress, because man was focused on survival, not judging or comparing himself to his neighbor. As man evolved, and this is from my book, as man evolved, the ego surfaced and gradually expanded its control like a cancerous virus. For thousands of years, the human ego has steadily grown uncontrollably powerful. And that's where we are today, my dear audience. The ego has evolved into a dysfunctional mind mechanism responsible for all unrest and human suffering. In fact, Eckhart Tolle says, in the light of awareness, the ego dissolves. So how do we eliminate the ego? The truth is, the ego is not your enemy. The ego has many necessary and specific functions, including a built-in personal safety, hygiene, and grooming system. That's what I use it for. You can't tell if you're watching me on YouTube, because I still haven't combed my hair this morning. I just put it up in two pigtails and and furry headband and keep it moving. Did I say that out loud? However, we suffer when we allow our egos to make decisions and choices for us that are beyond its pay grade. Consider this, my dear audience. Would you give a 5-year-old the keys to your car? Would you allow a 5-year-old to perform brain surgery? Or, of course not. The ego is just like a 5-year-old child, incapable, unqualified to navigate and decipher life changes without judgments attached. And I'm reading this from my book program for unhappiness, exposing the untold truth. And I will be in the next month, hopefully within the next 30 days, I will be making an audio audiobook and also video book of me reading. So I need to practice reading my own book. As such, here we go. I do not, when I say I'm talking about Rebecca, does not allow my ego to determine, number one, who I am. Number two, my value or my self-worth. I mean, this whole self-esteem, low self-esteem, that's all that the ego will tell me whether I have low self-esteem or high self-esteem. Number three, how I react to challenges or crisis. Four, how I respond to others. And there's a difference between responding and reacting. When you're reacting, you know that it's just coming from a program. When you're responding, you're making a conscious choice. No, I don't remember what number I'm on because in the book it's just a bullet. So another thing I do not allow my ego to do is how to create a harmonious relationship. I don't know about you, but my ego is always wanted to be fed drama. Give me some more drama. That's what it loves. It loves drama. Drama, drama, drama. Another bowl. Extra drama. And my ego does not determine what I see when I look in the mirror. And my ego does not determine how happy or unhappy I am. I was listening to a talk this morning, or a video this morning. It was a video. And the person was saying that life is difficult. This is a lot of difficult challenge. Well, who determines whether or not life is a difficult challenge? I used to say that life is difficult. Well, life is what you perceive it to be. Life is a perspective. And who is determining what that perspective is? What entity? And if I allow my ego to determine, oh yeah, this is a challenge, or another perspective is, this is just life. This is just life. And it is filled with everything, every experience you can imagine. But my ego is the one that makes judgments on good, bad. In fact, there's no such thing as a good day and a bad day. That's all ego driven. The ego will tell you it's a bad day, and the ego will tell you it's a good day too. You see when I say the disguises? Here we go. Recognizing the ego is easy because it's critically dissatisfied and consumed with thoughts and stories about what it believes should be happening. The ego is a greedy entity of dissatisfaction. Its nature is to sustain a chronic state of discontentment. The ego can't maintain or generate peace. An awareness of the ego and its character flaws and limitations is the first step to neutralizing and eventually negating its power. Again, remember I said at the beginning of the show, two things: a commitment, prioritizing this energy called peace and contentment, and a mirror. And it is a daily practice, ongoing. You don't get breaks. You don't get time off. You don't get vacations. It is constant. But it is the most satisfying satisfying state I can ever remember myself in. And in fact, if you gave me billions of dollars, a trillion dollars, I wouldn't exchange it for who I was 5 years ago, a year ago, 6 months ago. Not at all. The value of the practice, the value of this practice is indescribable. Okay, who's driving your car? The ego, scratch that. Your ego does not want you to change, period. It's terrified of change. Why? Because change threatens the ego's mere existence. The ego needs to survive. In fact, the mind, the stories, the thoughts can't survive without a body. Scratch that. Can't survive without you identifying with it. Scratch the body part. Can't survive without you identifying with it. The ego's job is to convince you to identify with its desires, with its opinions, and conclusions at all times, in every situation and in every moment, and believe the beliefs. And in fact, the beliefs are, and I'm talking about myself. I had so many deep-seated programmed beliefs that have just been rooted up slowly but surely, one by one. And in fact, listen to this one. I used to believe I used to believe that I was, I said I'm in the studio and it's 57 degrees. It's cold. I don't like the heat. And I stayed away. And I had this belief that I don't it sound I don't know how it sounds, but I had this belief that I didn't like the heat. I never did, but when I moved to Roseburg, Oregon, over 5 years ago. I actually moved 2017. Lived there for 5 years in the middle of a forest, surrounded by trees and a running creek in the backyard, until the universe said, "It's time to go. It's time to leave your dream house. Get out. Let's go." What do you mean it's time to go? Anyway, I digress again. I remember, and it was really cold. It was very cold, and there was no sun. And again, if you're listening to Noon Vibe, feel free to join the conversation, to ask a question or make a comment, contributions. And I'm also live on my YouTube channel, Rebecca Norrington. But backing up, I love cold weather. I mean, I even took vacations to very cold countries, very cold. I don't like warm weather. And still, so see the disguise of, Rebecca doesn't like warm weather, but guess what Rebecca is doing now? It is, I mean, it's unfathomable. I can't even, well, I believe it now. For the last 2 weeks, almost every day, I don't even know why. And I don't even care why. See, the ego will come up with a story. That's another thing. The ego loves to attach a story as to why. This is why something is happening. This is why I'm experiencing this. How about this? How about being okay with not knowing why? Because is there really can the ego even know why with this vast this vast universal plan? The whole why. So Rebecca, Lord have mercy. I go to this salon, well, health spa salon. It's got maybe it's got, let's see, it's got sauna, it's got cryotherapy, local cryotherapy, red light treatment, compression therapy. It's got a lot of different modalities. And so I've been going for at least 6 months, and I always do the same thing. Not always, but I started with cryotherapy. Lord have mercy, 3 minutes. Ooh, and that got old fast. So the compression therapy and the red light therapy and the local cryotherapy, that's what I'd been doing. And there are 2 sauna rooms that they have in this spa. And the dry sauna gets up to 175 degrees. Now, I never, even when I'm teaching at the gym or a gym that has a sauna, never, ever, ever get into a sauna. Ever. It's too hot. I don't like hot. And I've been watching these people come in and out of the sauna and doing a little bit more research on benefits of dry sauna. And yours truly, for the last 2 weeks, I would say 14 days, maybe 12, maybe I missed a couple of days. 11 out of the 14 days. In fact, I have an appointment today at 11. Dry sauna, 147 to 150 degrees. I'm sitting, laying down in that sauna. At first, I started 20 minutes, 30 minutes, at 120 degrees. It's not hot enough. 130 degrees, 35 degrees, 35 minutes, 40 minutes. Yesterday, I'm in the sauna for an hour at 100. I think it got up to 151. And I remember I said, ooh, this is hot. But there is something about, and what happens, I'm just going to share what happens is I ask the universe, I say, take me to another dimension. I know I'm sounding crazy. That's okay. Take me to another dimension. Take me out of these thoughts. I just ask for help. I don't try too hard. I don't do any of that. I just don't. I just ask to can I for 40 minutes, 50 minutes experience another dimension? Uh-oh, I see a white truck outside. Oh, they're coming to lock me up. They're coming to lock me up. I'm not going to let them in. And my point is, for decades, I had this deep-seated, Rebecca doesn't like this. Rebecca's not going to do that. But when I say I'm using air quotes, scratch the air quotes with the I, when it's time for the universe to shift me, to guide me, to focus me, to put me in another situation, and it's time, guess what? It's time. And if something shifts and if something changes, it's not because I did something to make it change. Oh, yes, I unblocked. Okay, here we go. Seatbelts. Remember I said put your seatbelts on? I unblocked my chakras. My chakras are blocked, and now I unblock them. I get it. I don't have any friends. I unblock my chakras. No, it's time. And I'm just going to use myself as an example. Your experience and your belief it may be totally different than mine. And all I'm here doing is sharing a different perspective. I'm not trying to sell you any program. And even the book that I've written, I'm not buy the book. It's on Amazon. Listen, when it's time for people to shift their beliefs or their direction, there is nothing that's going to stop the universe, God, source, higher power, whatever you want to call it. There is nothing that's going to stop it. There is nothing that's going to slow it down. There is nothing that's going to speed it up. The ego, in fact, where are my notes for today? Because I wrote a lot of notes down about this ego. Where are they? Hold on a second, my dear audience. I'm looking for my notes. Because I wrote, hold on. Now, where are my notes? If I don't have my notes in front of me, where are my notes for today's show? I did not leave them in that other room. Hold on, I'm looking. Oh, where are my notes for today's show? And I'm only talking so there's no dead air. Where are my notes for today's show? Oh my goodness, I had such good notes too. Where are my notes? You know what I'm going to do? Hold on. Oh, I found them. They were to my left, not my right. I have to look to the left, not to the right. Yeah. By the way, warning, seatbelts. Put your seatbelts on if they're not strapped in, if you're not strapped in now. The ego needs a host. The ego needs a voice. The ego needs the ego needs me to believe these programmed stories, and the ego is a master of disguises. And I'm going to have to say, the more I surrender and just let go and really trust. Well, I already trust, but really let go of that steering wheel, that proverbial steering wheel, which I don't have. I don't have any control anyway, but just to let go and to relax and allow because the universe is going to do what it's going to do, and allow the unfolding of the miracles that will be, that have already been placed in your lap, in my lap. But the ego will sit up here and say, I'm sabotaging. Oh, that just drives Rebecca. Scratch that. Because my awareness, my presence could care less. But Rebecca just can't stand it. Oh, you're sabotaging your good. Your chakras are blocked. And I'm poo-pooing only because when it's time for everything to happen, it will happen. And this is another thing. I talked to a lot of people, and this one woman I was speaking to maybe a week ago, and she was talking about how she healed herself and how she was healing. And then I said, I'm telling you right now, there's nothing to heal. Who is telling? I know, I get it. That's why I don't have any friends. Who is telling you you need to be healed? What entity is telling you you need to be healed? Is that God saying, heal, you need to be healed? Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Oh, and this other thing. Oh my God, this is another one. Oh, geez, Louise. Ooh, Jesus. These program people come up with more programs to follow. This other one, this is another craze. Imposter syndrome. Oh, I'm having what the hell does that mean anyway? What? Do you see how the ego makes up a story, makes you believe a story, and now you're running around here trying to get rid of imposter syndrome that doesn't even exist in the first place. You're just on your journey, and when it's time to shift, it's time to shift. And these stories, don't believe the stories in your head. Don't believe. Scratch that. Let me stop lecturing you. I'm not believing the stories in my head. I don't care what comes up. What was it the other day? The other day I went to this meetup. It's very, very influential guy, very famous, global, as a matter of fact. 11.5 million followers on Instagram. I'm not even going to, it's not even the point. The point is, and really down to earth, cool guy. But all of these stories that my ego wanted to say before I even met this gentleman. You're going to say something. Remember to say this. Don't say that. All of this crap, all of these stories. F you, ego. I'm not going to prepare anything. I'm going to be. I'm going to be. And I'm doing air quotes again, myself, and I'm going to let the evening unfold. Scratch that. Trust that the evening will unfold exactly the way it's supposed to. That's it. That's it. And the experience means nothing other than now I'm connected to someone else. Does it even matter? 20 million followers, 100 million followers, or one follower? Absolutely not. But the ego, my ego, Rebecca's ego will say that matters. Numbers matter. And let me I'm just sharing my perspective, and I'm just sharing what has brought more peace and more contentment in my own life. I'm 69 years old. 69. Don't you? It's about time. All of this shit, all of this stuff that used to be important and used to be deemed serious, it's over, Johnny. It's over. It's over. There are no desires. There are no wants other than what God, other than what the universe wants and desires for me. That's it. There's nothing to do other than act on inspiration. Nothing. Act on inspiration, trust, and surrender. The ego will always tell me something's wrong. The ego will always look out in the world and find a problem. We'll find all of this. There is no opponent to God. There is no opponent to the universe. The universe is experiencing all of this. That's what I believe. I'm with the air quotes I. The universe wants to experience all of it. Can I comprehend that? Why would the universe want to experience some of the most horrific things that happen on this planet? Why? I have no clue. I have no clue. But I don't need to know. And that's another practice. Being okay with not knowing, being okay, being at peace with uncertainty, trusting. I know this is another level. I get it. I get that all the time. And and not one level is better than another. That's another thing. I say that we're all avocados. And some of us are, it's just time to be ripe, and it's time to absorb. And what does enlightenment mean anyway? Well, if you ask me, it means the truth of this existence. And the world will program and teach that this is really important, that this human existence is really serious, and the things that happen are really important. I'm letting all that go. It's too many decades believing. And in fact, I know that when there's a pee under the mattress, I know when I'm off. I know when I'm not going to say disconnected, because I'm always connected, but I know when the ego is taken over, when I deem something serious and I say this is important and I act on it, even from the smallest little things to something that's global. So the solution is to witness the activity. And I want to share this. And again, if you're listening on Noom Vibe, welcome. I'm also live on my YouTube channel, Rebecca Norrington. I want to share something, and I share it every show. There is a spiritual teacher, which, I wish you could see me on. I'm just, my hands are down, but, bow down, not in a subservient way, but just in an information, in a teaching way. His name is Moji, Mooji. And if you haven't listened or on YouTube, if you haven't listened to any of his talks, I highly recommend it. In fact, my favorite is, it's called Must Watch Satsang, Satsang, Must Watch Satsang. I will not start with your problem. I will start with you. And just to sum it all up, Moji points, and he never says teaches. He points to this entity that I've been talking about, the ego, and just visualize a bird that is, building a nest, making something happen, scurrying around for food, active, always doing, building, always doing something, keeping busy. Bird, beep, 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 bird, beep. No, bird doesn't beep. Bird goes tweet, 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 bird. Imagine the bird always in some kind of activity, including the mind activity, including the mind, the stories, always active. Sound familiar? And then there is another function, another bird that is in the tree, but a little bit higher, and looking down on this bird that's always got something to do. And in fact, now let me digress just for a second. Yesterday, my son and I do a show every Saturday morning at 9:15. It's called What Happens When a Mother and Son Make Sense Out of Nonsense, plus more. What happens when a mother and son make sense out of nonsense, plus more. It's live every Saturday on Noom and also on YouTube at 9:15 Pacific Standard Time. And I was sharing a dream that I had yesterday morning. It was an early morning dream. I had awakened at 3:30 in the morning, and then how you go back to sleep. And I went back to sleep, and I had this dream, and I was riding in a car in a middle. You see how that Rebecca loves cold. I was in a car riding in a snow, in mountains and mountains of snow, and there was just one trail. I'll get back to the bird in a minute. There was just one trail. And so when other cars would come, other cars were coming in the opposite direction. One car or the other car had to move over to the side because there was only one road. It wasn't even a road. It was just tire tracks. There was only one way. And so either one would move aside so the other one could pass. And I in the dream, I remember getting to this tunnel of snow with icicles. It was just beautiful, all white, gorgeous, shimmery, shiny snow, gorgeous. And I just drove right through that gorgeous tunnel. And on the right side and on the left side of me were two cars, and they were just stopped. They were just stopped in the tunnel, and I drove through the tunnel. And then I got through the tunnel, and then there was another car coming at me, and then I had to move over to the side again. And it just hit me in my dream why those other cars were stopped. Those other cars were stopped because they were soaking in the beauty of that snow tunnel. And I just drove through it. So the message that Rebecca got in the morning was practicing just observing even more. I mean, I practice observing, but even more observation as opposed to this doing, gotta go. And I really, trust me, I do hardly anything anyway. unless I'm inspired. I take pride in doing absolutely nothing. Sometimes watching television, watching football, watching Judge Judy. I mean, I take pride. I used to be ashamed of it, but thank you. I enjoy. I enjoy watching television. Not all the time, but a lot of times. Anyway, in fact, it's wild card weekend today, so I'll be watching the football games all day. Again, I digress. Let's get back to the birds. So there's a second bird higher in the tree that is observing and witnessing that bird that is always doing, moving around, doing, accomplishing, nest here, zip, 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 zipping back and forth, doing, just constantly on the move. And that bird that's higher, that is witnessing that bird, the bird that's higher, high on a higher branch, is witnessing that bird, witnessing the bird that's doing without attachments, just observing and witnessing that bird. Not connected, not attached, not identifying with, just witnessing. And then Moji gives this other example with that then there is another branch that is even higher than the second bird. And that bird is just aware, is just all present, is just all is formless, is just all consciousness. And that is my practice. Is if I am not in that second bird mode, and I practice remaining in that second bird mode, witnessing this Rebecca bird scurrying around, there's another place of awareness. And that place of awareness, are there trees and mountains and beauty? And no. Are there no, it's just formless. It is there is no description. And do I have to do anything to get to that place, to get there, to experience that? No. I know that that place is my true existence. And all of this other stuff, all of this other human stuff is just that. And if I don't have to do anything to get to that place, neither do you. And if I don't have to do anything to conjure up your presence, neither do you. And it's always there. It's always there for me. It's always there for you to access at any time. Always. Without a doubt. Without question. And that place is where I practice, not mastered. That place is where I practice living. And if I ain't living there, I'm living with the second bird. And sometimes the first bird I drop, the first bird, ooh, that first bird can get out a sentence and get out of feeling and get out of behavior and get out of judgment and get out of perspective and get out of worry and get out of a complaint and have impatience. All those are program behaviors. And compare and find discontentment in the present moment in a minute. Who's driving your car, my dear audience? Again, your ego does not want you to change. The ego needs to survive, and survival only happens when you identify with it. Yeah, the ego will tell me, I had a bad day. I've got blocks. I'm sabotaging my good. I need healing. Ugh, I know. The ego's job is to convince you to identify it with its desires, its opinions, its conclusions in every situation. The ego refuses to identify with God. Why? It's too painful. The ego is an entity that needs attention, validation, and a voice to survive. And it's tricky. And just like the 1979 science fiction horror, oh, look at that. Just like the 1979 science fiction horror film Alien, the ego uses you as its host. It's a master of cunning and disguise. It will even make you believe you have good intentions and validate the stories that you tell yourself as unconvertibly true. Why did I write a word in my own book that I can't pronounce? Inconvertibly true. Why is this? The ego needs your voice to speak. Can you imagine what this world would be like if all children were taught to question which voice in their head was speaking? So you're either listening to or paying attention to or giving power to the voice of the ego, or the voice or the presence of presence. Which voice is the truth and which voice is an illusion of the truth? The ego thinks that whatever happens in an unwanted moment must change immediately. The ego will react by saying, "This is wrong. Things need to be different for me to be happy." But when you finally identify with the universe's plan, your reply to the dissatisfied voice will be, "Who are you talking to, ego?" "Oh, I have conversations with my ego all the time. I used to tell it to step down, to sit down. Sit down, Rebecca. Just be quiet." But now I just let it talk, because now the voice is such a whisper. Are you listening to your higher self, which is pure consciousness, or are you identifying with this lower self, which is dependent? The ego is dependent on external circumstances and manifestations. The ego is dependent on manifestations in order for you to be happy and practice having an energy or vibrating an energy of contentment, is dependent on manifestations. Practice remembering everything is in order. A divine plan is unfolding with perfect timing. Trust and surrender to all moments unfolding. Practice being aware of the ego as much as possible to eliminate the program obstructing happiness, contentment, and peace. The truth is, here we go to all these people. "Oh yeah, it's challenging. This life is challenging." I used to believe that too. It just is. Life is an experience without judgment. Challenging is a judgment. The truth is, I'm going back to my book. The truth is, oh boy. The truth is, there are no unwanted moments when you identify and align with God, aka the universe, source, higher power. When trust is practiced strongly, you become a vibrational energy of peace. Don't you think it's time to relax and have some fun with your actual identity? Warning, 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 Will Robinson. I don't know if any of you can relate to that. This is so dated. Warning, 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 Will Robinson. If anybody knows that, if anybody knows where that's coming from, you're old. Warning, Will Robinson, warning. The ego will conjure many reasons why you shouldn't change. It will try to convince you to stay the same and bring up thoughts and stories and revelations that will scare you, make you doubt, and cause confusion. But practice, and when you're scared and doubt and all of that, no, that's the ego too. So the ego is acting on the ego. The ego has a tug of war with the ego. The ego just isn't one entity. It's all over the place. disguised. But practicing witnessing the ego's thoughts, stories, and lies in those moments without identifying with them. You know what else the ego only manages to have is one perspective. I've said this before. The ego can only manage one perspective. And if you are stuck believing, thinking only one way, just like I explained earlier on the show, I don't like the heat. I only like cold weather. I'm not getting in a sauna. No, that's not what I'm going to do. And well, guess what? Huh. Huh. I'm practicing being open to all of it. I can do everything, all of it, not just some of it, all of it. Talk about having limiting beliefs, believing that I didn't like the hot weather and I can't stand the hot weather and I'll never get in the sauna. But guess what? It was true for that time, but it ain't true now. So whatever was true for yesterday may not be true for today or the future. Is it possible to practice remaining open to all possibilities? Is that possible to practice? Because you've heard about limiting beliefs. No, following the ego and oh, I'm limited. No, they just be open to all change, all possibilities, all descriptions. Who you were yesterday doesn't mean this is going to be who you are today. Are you open to that? Question mark. The other thing when I say the ego can only manage one perspective, know that the ego is talking, and the ego is speaking when it uses the word because. And let me explain that. I'm feeling this way because I'm feeling sad. And another practice, I don't label emotions anymore. I'm just saying I'm feeling. That's on another level, meaning that's on another level of practice. Well, because I'm lonely. I remember when I lived in Roseburg in the middle of the forest. I moved knowing no one, all by myself. I left family and friends. Goodbye. I knew no one. I'm lonely. Why am I here? I'm lonely. And all of this loneliness. Well, what is that? That's another program. I was feeling whatever I was feeling, but then I attached a story to it. I'm lonely because I'm here by myself. I'm feeling this way is because I don't have any family or friends here. Why did I leave? All of that. All ego attacking ego. I'm wise to you now, ego. So the practice is any emotion, and I feel all emotions. I feel them all. Nothing, no hating on any emotion, but I'll be damned if I'm going to label it. I'm going to label it. What I'm going to say is I'm feeling this now. And you know what else the ego has? The ego has a preference of emotions. I rather feel like this. I prefer feeling this way. That's all ego. And that's another program of behavior, is having a preference, including feeling airy and light and open and floaty and free and wee, to the opposite of that, when the energy is possibly more heavy and not flowy. I'm just gonna use some words just to describe: stuck, heavy, what the ego would call, what a program person would say, a bad day. Okay, let me throw that out. Well, a program person would say a bad day. Well, here we go. How about all days, all feelings are accepted? all days, all feelings, all emotions are okay. You know, there was I used to call it conscious depression. This feeling of being depressed, conscious depression. Well, how about this? How about just being conscious of all the feelings and letting go of labeling anything? I know it's hard because the people out there teaching, preaching, sharing, get rid of this, get rid of that, do this, do that, do, and then you feel like this, and then your better self. Oh well, God, that just you be your better self. What the hell is your better self? How about acceptance of self right now? In fact, there's another person, global. He's another global guru, and talking about what is this thing? It says, average. Don't be average. You know this. There's always someone selling you something, selling you a better feeling, a better life, a better existence, a better this. I'm here to tell you you can follow, find, run after that better, authentic, all of that. And I'm here to tell you, it all comes back to essence and presence and consciousness. And isn't that enough? Can't that be enough? Why isn't that enough? And then I hear this, and then I get this other pushback. Oh, this is one of my favorites. Trust me, I've been insulted by the best of them. Woo! From the toxic to delusional. What was the other one recently? Disingenuous. I mean, these are all to my face. Disingenuous. Zero contributor. Well, the other one, the another one was this content. These people that are content, the people that seek contentment, they don't do anything with their life. They're just sitting around being content. They don't do anything. They don't accomplish anything. In fact, I'm going to throw this. No, I'm not going to throw out any names. Yeah, I am going to throw out this name. I'm going to throw out this name. I was listening to very briefly interview Joe Rogan had, and he said, this is Joe Rogan. He said, "Yeah, I find these people that don't have any fear or haven't had any hardships, or they're not, something driving them, sparking them, and some sense of anxiety. Let's go. They haven't accomplished anything." I can't wait to meet him. Yeah. Keep accomplishing, keep doing, keep achieving, all of that. Everything that's external does not equate to contentment, which, in my opinion, my humble opinion, is the and when I it is the achievement. I'm using achievement. There really aren't any words to what I'm trying to describe, but getting back to the essence, getting back to who I was and who you were when you were birthed, in the moment, at peace, feeling one with all. The baby thought everything around him was part of the baby until the separation, until the ego formed. Getting back to that state, practicing living in that state, and good for you. In fact, I do mention this. I do mention this in the book. There is the person that started the bucket list, or one of the people there. His name is Ted Leonsis, Leonsis. You can Google him, and he survived a plane crash. I think it was don't quote me on the year, 1993 or 83, one of those. He survived a plane crash, and because of that, he dedicated his life. You can Google it. He had a bucket list, 100 things on his bucket list of all the things he wanted to achieve. And everything on that bucket list, and he's a billionaire now. Everything on that bucket list has nothing to do with contentment. Achievement, yes. Contentment, no. All right. Well, you know what? Look at this. No one wants to come up and say hello or chat or what, or come on, Noon Vibe. Come on, Noon Vibe. I'm inviting you. Let's go. Let's go, Noon Vibe. Let's go. Who's there? Who's ready? Oh, man. I just go into a zone. I don't even know what I say. Again, I'm not up here trying to convince you of anything, trying to sell you anything. In fact, if anything, I'm just trying to remind you of who you really are. You are the universe, your conscious energy, having a human experience. That's it. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. All right. Nobody wants to say anything. Okay. I'm not going to take it personally. Never do. That's another program behavior, taking anything personally. Well, that is beep, beep, beep. Lord have mercy. That is the end of today's show. Reality Spirituality Radio is heard every Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and also every Saturday at 9:15. I host a show, co-host a show with my son. It's called "What Happens When a Mother and Son Make Sense Out of Nonsense," plus more. It's a show talking about our relationship, spirituality, growth. It's just a different show, and it's fun and funny and entertaining, if I must say so myself. The Reality Spirituality, this show is heard every Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Follow me on Twitter at RL Norrington, LinkedIn. My Instagram handle is Reality Spirituality. My YouTube channel, yay, my YouTube channel, Rebecca Norrington. I'm getting more organically because I don't know how this happened. Organically, more subscribers. Like and subscribe. And my website is RebeccaNorrington.com. So feel free to check out my YouTube channel. There's past shows, and my first book, Reality Spirituality, The Truth About Happiness, can be purchased on Amazon. And the present book, now I have to say last year that was published, is called Program for Unhappiness, Exposing the Untold Truth. And until next week, my dear audience, I want you to remember who the hell you are. You are a physical extension of the universe, your conscious energy, and you're always evolving, always changing, always growing. Love is patient and love is kind. Be kind and be patient to yourself by accepting every moment exactly the way it's unfolding, surrendering, trusting, repeat, surrendering, trusting, repeat. And let me throw in, and let's have some fun too. Let's have some fun and let's keep it light. I spoke with a man, I think I said this earlier. I spoke with a man that I just met this week, and he didn't remember when he laughed. I mean, put that on your to-do list. Laughing. Remember, you cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey. You've been listening to Reality Spirituality Radio with yours truly, happiness specialist, inner peace practitioner, Rebecca L. Norrington. And until next week, remember, happiness, contentment, inner peace is a practiced skill. And I promise you, the more you practice, the more peace you're going to find. And your experience in every moment reflects on what you practice. Your experience in every moment reflects on what you focus on. practice exposing those program behaviors. I have 56. I've listed 56 program behaviors in this book, Program for Unhappiness. And also in the book, I list 26 behaviors to practice that will add to your contentment. I appreciate you listening. Share the word, spread the word. And until next week, I got to pull up my theme song. Hold on. And put in my password. One of these days, I'm going to have my own producer, director, all of that. And we are out.
Oh, it's time to get real. Oh, yeah. It's a new experience. Yeah, keep your ears open for this one. You got a question for RLN? Yeah, it's time to get some answers, baby. Oh, now we get real. Yeah, time to get down.
Thank you. Thank you for the like. Thank you.
It's a new experience.